Sit back, relax. Try to maintain your composure. You are about to become connected.
Okay, welcome to the Connect Podcast, episode 11. We're here with a very special, that would have made a terrible sound, the microphone's just there, sorry about that. We're here with a very special guest from St. Vinnie's with the name of Gavin Dufty.
G'day Sean, g'day
Welcome,
Kev.
Gavin.
G'day, welcome Gavin. Thanks for coming here this early this Wednesday morning.
Beautiful Wednesday morning.
Beautiful Wednesday morning. This is our first morning podcast, amazingly.
Really?
I wake up specifically.
I'm a morning person, so this suits me. Thanks for getting up.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's good. No, I'm the only one, you know,
He's a bit
that's
off.
out of this realm, this morning realm.
It's alright, we'll make you feel comfortable.
Thanks. That's alright. I'll try not to fall asleep. Yeah, so we wanted to have a little bit of chat about St. Vinnie's, what they do in the community, locally, nationally, and shed a bit of light on what's going on.
With disadvantaged people and how the community is helping them and how you guys help the system help them.
Okay,
Yeah.
so why don't I start with a bit of a background about St. Vincent de Paul and what it is and where it's come from.
Great.
The full name of St. Vincent de Paul.
Yeah, St. Vincent de Paul.
Society of St. Vincent de Paul
Vinnie's.
Society.
Society, yeah.
St. Vincent de Paul Society is what it is.
Okay.
It was originally established about 200 years ago in France. By a guy called, a number of men called, but the principal one was Frederick Osner. He was at university in France, and this is in the Second French Revolution, and he was looking around at the poverty that was occurring there, and he and a number of other people got together and said, look, this is not on. He was adversarial towards the government and the Catholic Church at the time, and these group of people would get together and go and visit poor people and listen to their stories and provide them support where they could. So in winter they'd bring them wood and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So then it was set up as the St. Vincent de Paul Society, and that was the first conference, what's called a conference. So that group of people came together, and that's the conference. So then the Vinnies spread from France across to all, many countries, and Australia being one. So in 1833 over in Williamstown was the first Australian conference.
Tessa's from Vinnie's.
From Willie, I live around the corner in Seddon. So the first conference was set up by Father Gerald Ward over in Willie, and that was looking at issues. That group of people got together and was visiting, again doing home visits in Williamstown area, supporting people. That conference disappeared after, I think it was 4 or 5 years or whatever, and then the next conference was set up in Sydney, in New South Wales, and from there it's grown. So in Victoria we have, I think it's close to 400 conferences, so that's groups of people that come together and go and do home visits and visit people in their home.
Does that usually correlate with the store as well? Or
No. The stores have become separate from...
Okay.
But I'll get to that. Okay, so you've got, so there's all these conferences, and each conference has a president and secretary and a treasurer. They meet weekly or fortnightly, and they'll just visit people in their local area and provide a support and assistance. And that can be something like information, because people can't work out bills or whatever. It could be just friendship. Some people isolated and alone. Other times it could be material aid, so bring them across food, but something like that. Or sometimes it might be financial support where they pay their bills and do all that sort of stuff. So each person's situation is unique. So they try and deal with that. Some conferences will just be one visit and people will be right. Some conferences I've known have been visiting people for 10, 15 years, regular. But that's more support and engagement. So that those people might have some mental health issues. They might be aged and frail and can't get out. They could be disabled, so they're housebound.
And these people are usually not supported by any other services, or they might be.
Well, no, many will have other supports going on. Some won't have any support. So again, it's sort of like the way I the way I see it is the people that are in poverty and are struggling and are disadvantaged or socially excluded, each situation is unique. If the problems were all the same, you'd be able to fix it. But everybody has a problem, and a lot of it is true.
So people.
Yeah, it's people. That's the unique. And I suppose and everybody through their life will end up experiencing difficulties. So some people it just transitions in. Some people are there for a longer period of time. So it's hard to put. Lots of people want to. I shouldn't say put badges or conceptually see disadvantage as a particular thing, as a theme, and that is true for some, but not for all.
Sure.
So the op shops, the oppies, or what they used to be called the centres of charity, have changed a little bit. That used to be where the material aid was delivered. So people would come in and say, well, here's some really cheap or free clothing and shoes and cutlery. And I remember when I was going to uni, that's where you go down the oppie to get the...
we still get our stuff from there.
Yeah, sometimes we brought a saucepan.
Because it's cheaper at the oppies than elsewhere. So, But now it's become very much more a bit of a retail arm for the Vinnies.
Because money making adventure as well a bit?
Well, it's about turning the material aid into cash. And then the conferences can use that cash to support people. And the reason for that is, if you had a look at, you can buy clothing's really cheap now. So it's really hard. We're sort of competing with those $2 shops and all that sort of stuff. So the world's changed. They never used to be around.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's so annoying.
That is annoying, actually, because I just don't, because if you guys, let's say, there's an op shop and you need to sort of, just pay your operating costs to keep the store there. For charity, does the government give any relief for like rent assistance for a shop like that or anything? Because how do you have to make X amount of rent before you even start making a profit, and government doesn't help you?
Well, it's some. There's 3 levels of government, and so there is some support sometimes. But it depends on where you are. So some councils might exempt rates. But not often.
Some Stonington exempt your rates?
I wouldn't. I don't know.
I would get on to it, Tessa.
I work at Stonington.
And some councils, like one of the big issues for all charities in the op shop side is people tend to dump
start crap.
Junk that we don't want. So we end up having to tip that.
There's a big story about that actually. The other day there was, I don't know if it was Vinnie, it might have been someone, but you just out the front, someone's just like got a trailer and just like push all this stuff. Literally, in front of the door. But it was like this mound, like this high in front of the door, and no one could even hardly get in.
That's illegal, isn't it? To drop it not in the bin. They have to outside the bin. It's glittering.
And so what happens in that situation is we then have to clean it all up and pay for the tipping costs.
Do you wash all the clothes? Whenever I always take my old clothes to the op shop, I don't wash them again. Like obviously they're clean enough. But I wonder what happens to them. Do you guys wash them?
Same with
hopefully someone.
And it all goes to for us. It all goes to the warehouse and centrally sorted and dealt with. So stuff that's not good enough will be turned to rag and sold.
Okay.
So that tends to go off into cotton fibre, all that sort of stuff goes off overseas.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And then the other stuff will be sorted into what's high end, low end, and then they sort of work out how to retail that. So it's very much a retail arm.
Yeah.
And that's why you'll see both with most of the major charities are rebadging their op shops.
Yeah, sure.
So they look a lot more professional than they used to. Similar badging. You'll see it with the Vinnies. After this conversation, maybe the listeners will end up doing it. If you just check out the op shops, and you'll actually see they're actually
stepping it up.
More branded.
More branded than now.
And
that's consistent across all the charities and welfare agencies.
And do you have problems with the amount of product that you get, the amount of possessions that you get to sell? Like, is it a bit fluctuate, or you always got too much, or you always don't have enough?
I think we would say more is more. Yeah, well, let's always have more than enough. Because again, being an international organisation, and what we can't use here, we will then give to other Vinnies overseas or whatever. So we've got another thing internally we've got is a thing called twinning. So St Vincent de Paul Victoria will twin with St Vincent de Paul Samoa or something like that. So you get this international connections as well.
So apart from Australia, down in this southeast end of the world, is it just Samoa? Is it islander countries, or is it Indonesia? Is it Asian? Or
all through there.
The whole lot.
And I'll have so each year there's an international meeting where all the presidents of all the Vincent de Pauls sort of come together, and it's generally in France. I think last year it was in India or somewhere or other. It's a big organisation doing lots and lots of things, and I'm not across everything. I know my area pretty well, but all the other stuff, it's
Alright, so talk more about your area then.
Okay, my area.
Yeah.
I run the Policy and Research Unit in Victoria.
Yep.
That's very much the way I explain it to the Vincentians and the members Vincentians and the members of the Vinnies. So is that I'm the storyteller of what people, the volunteers in St Vincent de Paul, are seeing on a day-to-day. So
you relate that to the outside world of what Vinnies are doing.
What Vinnies are seeing. So it's not about how Vinnies are doing it, but it's about the people they're seeing and what are the people's issues that they're seeing. So I tell that story to the world.
So it's like almost data and information that you guys actually have.
I'm a social researcher by training, so it's all survey work and stuff like that. But the best way to explain it to people is I'm telling the stories of the poor people or the disadvantaged, not necessarily poor, some could just disadvantaged people that the members of St Vincent de Paul and volunteers at St Vincent de Paul are seeing, and what their issues are. And if their issues are systemic, if there's a whole lot of people struggling with electricity prices, for example, or gas bills or housing problems, then I'll document that up and then propose ways to solve or reduce that pressure, and then sort of tell that story publicly, either through the media or go and visiting ministers, business leaders, and those sorts of things.
Right.
So essentially there's a link in the person who actually has the power to change the system for the benefit of the people you see that you're helping.
I wouldn't put it that grand. I'm one person.
Writing on these whiteboards.
I'm one person working with a whole lot of other people to slowly change the situation for other people. So,
everyone pays their part,
and again, I work with many other organisations that are interested in the same thing. So it's much more collaborative. I'm telling the story, and other people that get and understand that story will join in, or somebody else could be telling the story of poor people, and we would then support them. So it's not about.
So can you give us an example of a situation where you've got some data and then you've contacted an organisation or the government or something, and you said, look, we've got a problem here, and results have happened in accordance?
Yep, certainly. Two practical examples that have happened this week. Well, one will happen and one has happened. Okay. So the one that has happened was yesterday we released a report that was reported in the Australian newspaper, and it was a comparison of gas and electricity concessions for New South Wales, Queensland, South Australia and Victoria, and it looked at the eligibility, who gets the concessions, so it's called horizontal equity, and looked at, as their situation changes, i.e. their consumption levels go up and down, how much discount that made off the bill. So who gets it, and how much discount does it get across various consumption levels, which is what we call vertical equity. Basically, what it found was Victoria energy concessions are pretty good. The eligibility is healthcare card and pension card, so poor income people. So it's a bit exclusive, but it's not. The scope's pretty big. And as people's consumption changed, so if you had one person, your consumption will be less. You got 16% off the bill. But if their consumption went up because they're a single parent with 3 or 4 children, they still get 16% off the bill. So
would you expect that to go higher or lower? Because I'm not even sure, what you would mean by that. Is it good if it?
Well, I'd say that's good because it has horizontal, which means all people in similar situations get it, and vertical, which means as their situations change, the concession matches their situation.
But you could also expect maybe that if you had a family, then you would get more of a discount as you consumed more, because you still have to spend that initial amount. And so,
if you turn that into dollar figures, what that means is saying I spent $100 on electricity, for example, I would get $16 off. If I spent $1,000 on electricity, that could be the family, I get $160.
But I understand that's still proportional. But what I mean is that they may only have $200 at all to spend on electricity, regardless of how many people they have in their family. And so, because they're bringing up more people,
that's a great question. But then what I'd say from a policy perspective, I'd say that's an issue for the social security system to deal with, because energy is one part of a household budget. And the way the social security system does deal with that is you'll get your base payment, and then they'll get family tax benefit in addition to that. There's a big issue going on at the moment